Have you ever wondered what happens if the final tie binding the dead to this world is forgotten? Imagine this. You are driving alone on a desolate country road at 2 a.m. No streetlights, not a soul in sight. Only your motorcycle's headlight tearing through the pitch black. A cold wind chills your spine. And then you hear it. Not footsteps, not running, but a heavy, dry sound. Thump, thump, thump. It sounds like something very heavy, striking the asphalt. You look in the rearview mirror. There is no one there. You speed up, but the sound speeds up too. Thump, thump, thump. It is chasing you. It is not running. It is hopping. Welcome back to Old World Horrors. Today, turn off all your lights, because we are traveling to Indonesia to meet a creature known as the Shrouded Nightmare. The one trapped within its own corpse. He is Pocong. To understand the terror named Pocong, first, we must speak of death. In Indonesia and Malaysia, where the majority are Muslim, the deceased do not wear fancy clothes or heavy makeup like in the West. Funeral rites here are minimalist, but incredibly solemn. The deceased's body is washed clean, then tightly wrapped in a white shroud called kain kafan. This cloth covers the entire body, from the top of the head down to the heels. To keep the shroud in place, fabric strips are used to tie knots at 3 critical positions, one at the neck, one at the feet, and most importantly, a knot right on top of the head. According to local beliefs, the soul of the deceased remains on earth for 40 days. On the 40th day, before permanent burial, the relatives must perform one mandatory task. That is to untie the knot on top of the head. This symbolizes liberation, allowing the soul to leave the body and return to the afterlife. But what happens if they forget? Sometimes, due to overwhelming grief or the negligence of the undertaker, that fateful knot is left untied. And so, the soul becomes trapped, unable to escape, unable to ascend. The corpse becomes a prison of resentment and despair. On the 40th night, that corpse rises from the fresh earthen grave. It returns to the living world, not to seek a replacement, but initially, it only wants to find someone to help it untie that knot. That is, the birth of the Pocong. If you think zombies are scary, then you haven't met a Pocong yet. Imagine a human bound tight like a pupa or a giant, murky white cocoon. Because it is wrapped so tightly, the Pocong's arms and legs are pressed against its body, making it completely unable to move its joints. That is why it moves in such a bizarre way. It cannot walk. It must use the force from its heels to hop. Thump, thump. But the most haunting part is not the walk, but the face. Because the shroud covers the head, leaving only a small opening for the face. What you see is a nightmare that will haunt you forever. After 40 days underground, that face is no longer intact. Witnesses say the Pocong's face is charred black like charcoal, with no distinct features. Others say it is a face in the process of decomposition. Flesh falling off, with deep, hollow sockets emitting a faint green glow. And sometimes, you will see 2 cotton balls stuffed tightly in its nostrils. A realistic detail in burial rites to prevent body fluids from leaking. It stands there, motionless, leaning against a banana tree or a lamppost, looking like a discarded white bolster pillow, until you pass by, and that pillow starts hopping towards you. There is a story whispered in the suburbs of Jakarta in the 2000s. A truck driver named Adi, who hauled cargo nightly through roads cutting through rubber plantations. That night, Adi's truck broke down in the middle of the road, surrounded by pitch darkness, with only weak moonlight filtering through the leaves. While Adi was busy fixing the engine, he suddenly smelled a strange scent. Not milk flowers or grass, but the pungent smell of camphor mixed with damp, moldy earth. The smell of a morgue. Adi looked up, about 50 meters from the truck, under the flickering headlights. He saw a white object standing upright in the middle of the road. Thinking someone dropped a sack of goods, Adi grabbed a flashlight and approached to check. But when he took 3 steps, Dasak suddenly bounced. It hopped once, powerfully closing the distance to Adi by 10 meters in a split second. Adi froze. Now he saw it clearly. It was a tightly wrapped human figure. The knot on top of its head swayed with each hop, and its face thrust right into his, whispering a raspy sentence, sounding like wind hissing through teeth. Lepaskan, meaning untie me. Adi threw away the flashlight, rushed into the truck, and locked the door. He started the engine to flee. The truck tore away at 80 kilometers per hour. But do you know what was the most terrible thing? Every time Adi looked in the rearview mirror, that white shadow was still right there. It wasn't hopping anymore. It was gliding just above the ground, right at his rear bumper. Its green eyes stared at him through the glass, full of resentment. It followed him until the break of dawn. So, what should you do if one night you hear that thump behind you? Do not run in a straight line. Although the Pocong's feet are tied, its straight line hopping speed is incredibly fast, even faster than a motorbike. Its only weakness is its stiff body. It cannot turn flexibly. Therefore, the elders advise: run in a zigzag pattern. Running in curves will cause it to lose its balance and fall over. And once a Pocong has fallen, it is very difficult for it to stand up again. Or, if you are brave enough, lie flat on the ground, close your eyes, and play dead. It will come to sniff you, and when it realizes you cannot help untie the knot, it will leave. The Pocong, after all, is a creature more pitiable than blameworthy. It is the embodiment of oblivion, of unfulfilled promises, and of the desire for liberation. But remember this, well before you go to sleep tonight. Check if your blanket is wrapped too tightly. And if you hear a knock at the door, but open it to find no one, only the faint smell of camphor, then don't look down, look up. Maybe it is standing there, waiting for you to untie the knot on its head. If you want to hear more about other taboo creatures, click the subscribe button and turn on notifications. I am Old World Horrors, and I wish you a good night.